Nintendo has done the impossible, again. That's exactly what some gaming insiders are whispering today after a bombshell revelation shook the entire video game community. Seemingly out of nowhere, Nintendo pulled back the curtain, albeit by accident, on some truly mind-boggling sales figures for the brand new Nintendo Switch 2. So, what exactly did they reveal, and why is everyone gasping in disbelief? In this episode, we are diving straight into the heart of the drama. How a single accidental leak ignited massive buzz worldwide, why so many fans are feeling left out in the cold, and what this might mean for the ongoing battle between Nintendo and its fiercest competitors. We're also going to peel back the layers of secrecy to discover the real truths behind those astronomical sales numbers, the swirling rumors about console shortages, and whether this success story might be too good to be true. Just a short while ago, Nintendo Switch 2 rocketed onto the scene and captured the spotlight in a way few consoles ever have. Industry experts were already predicting that the system, launched on June 5, 2025, would break plenty of records if it managed to build on the foundation set by the original Nintendo Switch. However, nearly nobody anticipated hearing it had already sold 5 million units in less than a single month. It's the kind of number that makes even the most loyal fans of rival platforms raise an eyebrow or two. So what happened? Apparently, someone within Nintendo uploaded and quickly removed a document revealing these astonishing sales figures on the official investor site. Though the original post vanished almost immediately, certain fans and gaming bloggers captured screenshots. Word spread quickly across every forum and social media channel, sending the internet into a frenzy of excitement and speculation before daybreak. The real question is, why would a monumental triumph like 5 million consoles sold even need to be hidden? In most cases, announcing such a remarkable accomplishment so soon after a release would be cause for triumphant celebration. Yet Nintendo, known for its carefully orchestrated reveals and controlled brand messaging, clearly wanted to manage the story of the Switch 2's success in a more strategic manner. Some suspect they plan to unveil these numbers during a major press event or shareholder conference, complete with celebratory confetti and fireworks. Alternatively, a few cynics argue that the numbers might not be entirely accurate, and that Nintendo realized too late it had shared a preliminary forecast rather than final, audited figures. Either way, the fact remains, the cat is out of the bag, and 5 million is now the talk of the town. Fans of the Nintendo Switch 2 are jumping for joy, bragging that their console choice is validated by such spectacular early metrics. Meanwhile, people who have been saving up or searching tirelessly for a Switch 2 without success are feeling frustrated, to put it mildly. Pre-orders sold out lightning fast, leaving many prospective buyers scrounging around for any ray of hope regarding restocks. Retailers, from massive online chains to mom-and-pop hobby stores, have been inundated with emails and phone calls from disappointed shoppers seeking the console. While many of those folks could eventually get their hands on a PlayStation 5 or a high-end gaming PC, they might not want to if they are firmly devoted to Nintendo's franchises and brand exclusives. This longing to join the Switch 2 party, yet being unable to do so because of widespread stock shortages, has made plenty of fans anxious. It's a perfect storm. More hype leads to an even bigger scramble, which leads to more hype. Now, the origins of the Switch 2 manias trace back well before its official release date. Nintendo dedicated significant time and resources into carefully planning the console's hardware design and marketing approach. Building on the original Switch's hybrid concept, the Nintendo Switch 2 arrives with more robust hardware, a sleek new Joy-Con 2 controller system, and the ability to run some games at a native 4K resolution when docked. Even with those bullet points alone, critics anticipated lines around the block. To sweeten the pot, the Switch 2 launched alongside high-profile exclusives like Mario Kart World, an adrenaline-charged follow-up to the long-running racing franchise. Given that the predecessor commands a massive fan base, it didn't take a rocket scientist to realize that a new Mario Kart installment would birth a wave of hype, and presumably a wave of first-day purchases. But did anyone dream it would lead to 5 million in under a month? Longtime Nintendo followers will remember how the very first Switch took over the gaming conversation back in 2017, largely because it delivered a fresh twist on console-bound gaming. The Switch's core innovation was the ability to take the same device from your TV to your backpack, making home gaming on the go a mainstream reality. Within just a few years, it sold tens of millions of units worldwide, fueling the software library with titles that appealed to nearly every kind of gamer. Yet as the console arms race intensifies, especially with powerful rivals like Sony's PlayStation 5 and Microsoft's Xbox Series X, some onlookers predicted that focusing too rigidly on portability would hamper the Switch 2's success. But that prediction, at least based on these new revelations, seems to have been utterly shattered. Of course, with big wins also come big controversies. Let's not forget that the gaming community can be supremely vocal whenever they suspect numbers aren't what they seem. We have seen countless brand wars over social media, with fans from each camp dissecting data with nearly forensic scrutiny. Almost instantly after word got out about the 5 million figure, you could see heated debates erupt on forums, with some gamers insisting that the numbers are artificially inflated or simply a misinterpretation of partial shipment counts. Nintendo superfans, however, are shooting back that Nintendo seldom misreports hardware statistics. If anything, they underpromise. So, who is telling the truth? One possibility is that the posted figure was some sort of internal projection for the next quarter that accidentally got labeled as actual sales. Another possibility is that the 5 million mark solely refers to shipments and not actual consumer purchases. That difference can be huge when discussing real-world success. But honestly, if you're a gamer standing in line at your local store, eager to get your hands on a system that is out of stock, it's no consolation to be told those 5 million units might not all be in customers' living rooms yet. It's still a mad dash just to find one on a shelf, and that alone speaks volumes. As soon as those images of the investor site's text made the rounds, a wave of speculation rose about the implications. In a now-deleted thread, one user pointed out that the Nintendo Switch 2 might be following in the footsteps of the original Switch's record-shattering streak, because that console once managed to outsell the PlayStation 4 in incredible time. The original Switch also soared to over 1 million in its first week in the United States. Well, guess what? This brand new system repeated a similar feat, garnering about 1.1 million in the United States within a week, edging past the PlayStation 4's previous records for the region. And that was before we even heard about the out-of-this-world 5 million global count. Meanwhile, we also know that the PlayStation 5 sold about 3.4 million units in its initial month, taking almost 2.5 months to edge its tally to the 5 million mark. If Nintendo's 5 million figure proves valid, that means the Switch 2 has zoomed past the PlayStation 5's early momentum with surprising speed. Some are leveling comparisons to the mania that used to greet old-school console releases, like the Nintendo Wii or the first-generation PlayStation, but those were different eras. Today's gaming scene is more competitive, with hardware manufacturing challenges, distribution issues, and the looming shadow of next-generation PC gaming. For the Switch 2 to accomplish so much so quickly is undeniably worthy of attention. At this point, you might be thinking, is it all a done deal? Is the Switch 2 unstoppable now? Not quite. While triumphant sales are a fantastic headline, console makers face a daunting second stage, sustaining that momentum. Once you cover the enthusiastic day one and week one buyers, you start to rely on ongoing software releases, consistent restocks, and broader marketing strategies to keep the console relevant. Nintendo can't just rest on the laurels of a strong start. Rival producers are undoubtedly brainstorming new promotions, exclusives, and perhaps hardware revisions to stay in the conversation. Even so, the inherent advantage for Nintendo is its unmatched portfolio of beloved IP. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Splatoon, and more. This is the environment in which the Switch 2 is likely to continue blossoming well after the initial fanfare fades. Here's a question that always looms during these high-profile launches. Are we about to witness a scarcity phenomenon that leads to massive third-party markups? With the original Switch, we saw it happen around the holidays, as scalpers snatched up consoles to resell them at inflated prices. Some are already noticing that certain online listings for the Switch 2 have soared above the official manufacturer's suggested retail price. So, if you're someone who loves the thrill of hunting for the newest tech gadget, that chase might be on, but it could be rife with complications. The mere rumor of 5 million sales in under 1 month can incentivize opportunistic resellers even more, fueling higher price tags. Be cautious. If you're enthralled by the Switch 2 and want to join the community of new adopters, it might pay to be patient, or shop carefully. Gamers who consider themselves multi-platform enthusiasts are also chiming in on the conversation. They note that although the Switch 2 might have posted mind-blowing sales, it still competes for gamers' attention with the likes of the PlayStation 5 or high-powered PCs that can pump out 8K visuals in the near future. They argue the Switch 2's success might be partially due to Nintendo's unique approach, focusing on absolute convenience and fun rather than raw horsepower. Then again, the new Switch boasts a higher resolution in handheld mode, more robust battery life for those lengthy sessions, and seamless transitions from docked to portable play. For many, that's more than enough reason to pick up the console. At the end of the day, if you only have space or budget for one major gaming system, deciding which side of the fence to fall on depends heavily on your personal taste in games and how you value convenience versus performance. Speaking of games, the unstoppable Mario Kart franchise continues proving that lovable cartoon racers drifting around kooky dreamscapes never gets old. Mario Kart World has reportedly sold over 1 million physical copies in Japan alone, barely a month following the console's release. The mind reels when you consider digital sales, which might significantly boost the total number. Part of what makes this so extraordinary is that the Mario Kart series has a broad audience that always clamors for more. Each iteration seems to tap into that exhilarating sense of competition, with everything from rainbow tracks to underwater circuits. This time around, the developers introduced new mechanics, such as weather-based track transformations and more advanced customizations for karts and characters. Coupled with the console's extended online functionality, it's a combo that practically begs fans to jump on board, especially families or groups of friends who want local multiplayer mayhem. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the reasons behind the fascination with these big sales numbers. Why do we, as gamers, get so enthralled by whether a console soared or stumbled in its first few weeks? One answer might be that fans connect themselves, on an emotional level, to the success or failure of the brands they love. When we invest our money and time into any gaming system and become part of its ecosystem, it's natural to root for that system to thrive. Another perspective stems from the constant tug-of-war among major corporations, jockeying for market share and brand loyalty. These numbers offer a window into which direction the industry is moving, hinting at the future shape of gaming experiences. So, if you're reading that the Nintendo Switch 2 is racking up extraordinary figures, your excitement or skepticism might be grounded in your own personal stake in the console's fate. By the way, if you're enjoying these real-time revelations about the gaming sphere, please consider giving this video a quick like. It helps us know that moments like this spark your curiosity and keep you fueled for more insights. Still, the accidental nature of the post is one of the biggest talking points. Fueled by rumor and incomplete context, the conversation keeps swirling around. Who at Nintendo gave the green light for that post, even momentarily? Were they corrected harshly behind closed doors, or was it a slip by an automated system? Fans are hungry for an official statement, but Nintendo so far has played it coy, offering neither confirmation nor denial of the leaked data. For a company that thrives on carefully choreographed direct presentations and press announcements, that silence can be telling. It suggests either that Nintendo's strategists are working on a bigger set piece for the official reveal of that 5 million milestone, or that they're rethinking how best to position the news amid post-launch vulnerabilities. The Switch 2 is also more than just a piece of hardware. It's a promise of continuity, carrying on the hybrid revolution that started in 2017. The console ships with a 256GB internal storage, an improved Joy-Con 2 design that aims to address the drifting issues that bugged some players on the original Switch, and the beloved ability to flick from handheld to docked mode in a heartbeat. There's a certain intangible charm about the Switch line that resonates with gamers who value the freedom to move around. In a world where we juggle jobs, commutes, and family responsibilities, the convenience factor can't be overstated. Yet, not everyone is convinced. Critics point out that while the Switch 2 boasts a new operating system, improved resolution, and slight expansions in memory and processing power, it still lags behind some of the raw performance figures posted by the newest gaming machines on the market. They question whether advanced multi-platform titles can run effectively on the Switch 2, or if it will repeat the original Switch's pattern of missing out on next-level releases, such as massive open-world titles or certain big-budget shooters. Nintendo's fans often claim that the brand's greatest strength is not necessarily about offering the highest graphical fidelity, but showcasing unrivaled exclusives that capture the magic of gaming. Nonetheless, can that be enough to maintain the unstoppable sales trajectory after the initial hype wave passes? We also ought to consider the global marketing factors. Nintendo's distribution network across different regions can pose headaches, particularly in Europe, Asia, and the Americas, where shipping logistics and local economic conditions vary widely. A big selling point for the Switch concept is its universal appeal, from children enjoying a cooperative game of Mario to esport enthusiasts practicing advanced techniques in Splatoon's competitive modes. With so many demographics in play, meeting everyone's expectations is no small feat. That's why these rumored 5 million units sold, or shipped, or both, represent more than just a short-term stat. They symbolize the potential for the Switch 2 to unify a massive group of gamers under one console family. That's powerful, and if you love analyzing these behind-the-scenes angles on the gaming industry, do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming deep dives into where the Switch 2 goes from here. Now, let's circle back to those sales numbers. Could the leak that set the community abuzz be pointing to even bigger news down the road, like an official statement that the Switch 2 is on track to outpace all prior Nintendo consoles in record time? Some observers draw parallels to the unstoppable hype for the Wii, which saw families gather for living room sports sessions in droves. But the market dynamic has changed a lot since then. Mobile gaming is huge, free-to-play titles dominate certain segments, and the pandemic era taught many people to enjoy gaming while isolated at home. All these factors shift the winds in ways that even the most meticulous marketing plan struggles to predict. Of course, Nintendo has always had a knack for forging its own path. The Switch 2's tagline of bridging the gap between classic living room experiences and portable spontaneity hits a sweet spot for countless consumers. If the 5 million milestone is legitimate, that's a big indication that the original Switch's formula still resonates. Even those who were fence-sitters, wary about parting with their older handheld or console, might finally be taking the leap. The console's sleek design, combined with longtime Nintendo exclusives, might be the right push. Couple that with a love for nostalgic, family-friendly gaming, and you've got a recipe for success that might endure well beyond any single hardware cycle. Looking forward, the key pivot points will likely be software releases, and how quickly Nintendo can replenish store shelves. Nothing frustrates a newly converted fan like repeated failure to find a console in stock, especially if they're itching to race their friends in Mario Kart World. And let's not dismiss the inevitable mid-cycle upgrade that might eventually trickle down. Nintendo might follow the example of the Switch's lifespan, introducing a scaled version of the Switch 2 with a bigger screen or a refined dock, further fueling that cyclical upgrade mania among the most dedicated fans. But if we take the current leaked figure at face value, if 5 million people have already jumped in, that audience is now counting on Nintendo to keep them satisfied with fresh content, stable firmware, and continued community support throughout the year. Then there's a perspective from smaller developers and indie studios who thrive on the Switch ecosystem. With a rapidly growing user base, these devs have a bigger stage for their creativity. Many observers claim that the Switch was a major boon for small development teams, allowing them to reach a more casual, family-oriented crowd that might not otherwise see their games. With the Switch 2, the improved hardware and undeniably robust user base opens the door wider still for a new wave of creative hits. This synergy might be part of the reason fans are so exhilarated. When the console sells rapidly, it signals vibrant opportunities for all sorts of new titles. That in turn feeds back into the console's success, forming a virtuous cycle. We must also note that all these lofty achievements could vanish in the face of supply chain breakdowns, unplanned delays, or major competitor moves. Yet seldom does Nintendo fumble to this extent, so the gaming world is collectively watching to see whether and how Nintendo confirms the rumored 5 million figure. Will they do so with a flourish at a special event, unveiling celebratory trailers of upcoming hits? Or will they attempt to brush it under the rug for reasons still unknown? You have to admit, the speculation is half the fun. Critics, fans, and everyone in between wait eagerly for any scrap of official data. Meanwhile, the social media sphere is abuzz with new theories. Could the Switch 2 overtake the entire PlayStation 5 lineup within the next year if it continues at this pace? Is the console's story going to overshadow the original Switch's success or remain locked in its shadow? There are no final answers yet, but that just adds to the thrill of each new detail that surfaces. Before we wrap up, let's do a brief recap to ensure you've got the whole picture. The accidental posting on Nintendo's official investor site indicated that the Switch 2 passed 5 million units sold in an astonishing 26 days. That's well ahead of some previous record holders in the gaming world, including the PlayStation 5's early sales velocity. Nintendo quickly removed the data, fueling theories about an internal mistake, a leaked forecast, or a hush-hush figure that was supposed to be saved for a grander reveal. Meanwhile, publicly available metrics confirm that in the United States alone, the Switch 2 shifted 1.1 million units its first week, surpassing the reign of the PlayStation 4 as the fastest-selling system in that particular region's history. Throw in a brand new Mario Kart title that's flying off store shelves, and you've got a recipe for unstoppable headlines. Yet concerns over stock shortages, possible number inflation, and future competitor responses keep the conversation from becoming a simple fairy tale success story. In the next few months, we'll likely see how real these figures are when more scanned official documents surface, or when Nintendo decides to trumpet a verified total through its standard channels. Until that moment, the world will continue to speculate about the unstoppable phenomenon known as the Nintendo Switch 2. If you found yourself enthralled by the twists and turns behind this leak and want to see how the story develops, consider staying in the loop by following our updates. We'll be on top of any announcements from Nintendo, retailers, or major game developers that clarify how this console is cementing its place in gaming history. Whether you are already lucky enough to own a Switch 2 or simply watching from the sidelines, one thing is clear: Nintendo has once again proven its uncanny ability to capture the public's imagination. There's something magical about that mixture of beloved franchises, inventive hardware design, and a fan community that can't wait to share new experiences with one another. Will we see another monstrous wave of excitement when the next big first-party game drops? Almost certainly. The only real question is, how long can Nintendo sustain this rocket-fueled success? At least for now, the accidental reveal points to a console that's taking the world by storm with no end in sight. Stay curious, stay excited, and we'll see you soon for more electrifying revelations from the ever-changing world of gaming.